Welcome to the Mayor's Report for the City of Dublin. We're here with Mayor Dave Halbert. Welcome, Dave.
Hey, thanks for having me, Sblend.
How are you feeling?
Hey, we're doing just fine here in Dublin, and we're adjusting to the new norm for the day. Everything is going just fine.
All right, well, let's dive into our first question, which is your choice. What updates or topics would you like to share with our viewers today?
I think the first thing to say, of course, is that we recognize that this stay at home and shelter in place executive order is difficult on everybody. And we want everyone to know that the people at City Hall and the mayor's office and the entire city council, our number one job is public safety and keeping the public safe. And that means being prepared and following the executive order, staying at home. So we've implemented some of the new restrictions that the state has asked us to do. We've closed the tennis courts and the basketball courts and mentioned to people that they must continue to social distance, not to congregate in mass gatherings, and to wear your mask in public is a high recommendation, not a requirement yet, but a high recommendation. We noticed the changes out in the community. More takeout and order and delivery, lines to get into the grocery stores, things like that. And we've also stepped up police enforcement. If they see people skateboarding in the skateboard park in a group, they're going to break it up, things like that. We're doing our part to flatten the curve, but we, again, understand that that is tough on everyone. We're doing our part to keep our community safe. That's the big thing I want to let everybody know. The other thing, too, is that we're doing our part to keep the community informed. You can go to our website for updates, dublin.ca.gov. We have a special page there linked for coronavirus updates. We're also have created a Facebook page and helpful posts to Nextdoor, things like that to help keep the community informed. We also recently did a series of town hall meetings and conversations, 3 of them with different topics, public health being one, the school district and a special guest from the school district, Superintendent Dave Markin and Trustee Megan Rouse, and then also with our business community where we brought in the Dublin Chamber of Commerce and representatives from the Small Business Association and the Alameda County Small Business Advisor. So all of these town halls are recorded and can be viewed, links posted to our website. So we're doing everything we can to engage with the community. I'll also be doing my own Mayor of Dublin community conversations, which I'll be using Facebook Live, letting people contact me with questions that they have and giving them updates. So some of that information is repetitive, but that way everybody gets to hear it at least once, maybe a few extra times so it sinks in. Again, all we can do to remain transparent and open lines of communication with our community, Sblend. So really just a recognition of the time that we're in. That's my piece for Mayor's Choice.
Well, thank you. I know you've been a beacon of comments and of information, and I'm sure that's important for your citizens.
Yep.
So let's talk a little bit about what city services are available for the community. I know you mentioned obviously the parks are closed or very limited, which I imagine is what most citizens use, the most important city service. But what's open? What's available? Licenses, permits that a citizen or business in Dublin can use?
Yeah, you know what? Before I get into that, I also want to mention that we have at the Dublin Parks and Community Services created some virtual rec centers. So one is for the parks in general, and the other is for the Wave. We have live cams, virtual tours from museums, zoos, aquariums, and national parks all over the country. People can go online and check out the Parks and Rec, Parks and Community Services cams for especially for kids that are staying at home. But you mentioned civic services, very important. And I want everybody to know that while City Hall is closed, while the libraries and Shannon Community Center and the Wave are all closed, we are still open for business. There is a skeleton crew at City Hall. They are there to answer the phones and answer questions if needed or get you to the right place. Many of our people are working from home and getting the job done remotely. And so, in particular, if you have building permits that you would like to have processed, even if you can't actually do the work, you can process permits and get ready for when we can start working again. We have limited inspections for projects that are ongoing, and we have some projects where it's near completion, so we let them finish up, or if they're tidying up their job site to make it safe so that they can leave it while we have to stay at home. We have inspectors to inspect that. Some commercial businesses still need to be inspected, maybe restaurants that are open for takeout or delivery services. And so we're doing the things that we absolutely need to do, what we call essential services, even during this stay at home. And so we are still open for business, just in a modified way.
So, Dave, how can citizens and businesses access those services? Is it filling out a form online, emailing somebody?
For permits, they would go to permits at dublin.ca.gov. And they can also call the main number there, 925-833-6620. And of course, the main number 6650 for general services.
All right, here's a question that we have that we've heard a lot from is, well, if there aren't so many people driving, is the city filling potholes? What are they fixing, if anything?
Well, Sblend, I'd like to say we don't have any potholes, but we know that that's not true. They do pop up. Indeed, traffic is light, but I will tell you a couple of things, and we have had that question. You're exactly right. Dublin is, we're proud of the fact that the Metropolitan Transportation Commission, MTC, who annually does a report on every street's roads, and they rate them and they rank them. And Dublin has been at the top of the list, number one, for 7 years in a row. That means we already have great roads. And we also have a really neat tracking system. If people notice a pothole, they can let us know about it, or something that needs to be fixed on our roads. And so we've been keeping up with that all along. That means we don't necessarily have to rush out and fix anything while the traffic is light. We have a pretty good handle on things year round, COVID or not. But what we are doing is, if people do see something pop up, and it happens even during the COVID crisis, we will be out there fixing the things that need to be fixed. So we're already doing a good job, and we'll always be available to do even better.
All right, let's quickly turn to some resources available from local businesses. What's considered essential in the city of Dublin?
Yeah, that is always a great question, interesting question. Certainly, grocery stores and places that sell food and that sell essential items. It does not mean clothing stores and shopping for the latest apparel. And so you can go to your grocery store. A lot of businesses that serve food remain open for takeout or delivery. I don't know the numbers, but I think DoorDash is up tremendously. Things like that. Notaries and real estate mortgage and escrow, things like that. Banks are absolutely important to do, although I'm going to guess that online banking is pretty popular these days, but certain banks are open. But then we know that the barbershop is closed, and things like that are just not essential. But you can always go to our website, and you can always check out the official language in the executive order to know for sure.
All right. Well, thank you, Dave. I'd like to spend just 1 minute, if you could tell us what resources are available for local businesses to either at the state or federal level to keep them going during this time.
Yeah, great question. And indeed, if you go to the town hall meeting that I mentioned earlier, where we had the Chamber of Commerce, and we had Small Business Association and the Alameda County advisor for small business. You can get more detailed information, but the federal government CARES Act has provided for payroll protection programs to help employers make payroll for people that stay at home. It even extends to sole proprietors and other small businesses. The federal government is trying to keep people paid as much as possible. There's also economic disaster loans that are being made available through the Small Business Administration, and just general advice. Check your local Chamber of Commerce. Check in with our City of Dublin Economic Development Team, and also check the Alameda County website and state website for more information on that. In fact, I have heard that just in the last few days, people have started to see some of their economic stimulus money. That's another program everyone that has paid taxes in the past online has seen money already into their accounts.
Well, that's good that you mentioned that, Dave, because let's turn to the citizens of your wonderful city that may have lost their jobs or their livelihoods. What resources are available for them? You mentioned that they're getting a tax check. What else is available?
Tax check, payroll protection, so they can continue to get paid up to 2.5 months or 8 weeks or something like that from their employer if their employer has that. I imagine there's also going to be a lot of rental assistance and mortgage assistance that the banks are allowing. I know that Alameda County, for the first time ever, has agreed to waive property tax late payments if you are late, and April 10th was the date, and there's a stiff penalty for missing that date, and the counties generally don't waive that penalty, but in the case of coronavirus financial hardship, they are allowing for that, and that's something that the tax collector did at the request of the mayors of Alameda County, united to sign a joint letter to the tax collector asking him to do that. So there are things to help delay payments if cash is low, and to help keep cash coming in during this time if you've lost your job.
Well, thank you, Dave. Thank you. We're going to move on to other subjects, but let's take a break now. And you're listening to and watching TV 30, the Mayor's Report for the City of Dublin. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Mayor's Report for the City of Dublin, brought to you by TV 30. Dave, we left off before the break talking a little bit about resources for folks in your town that may have lost jobs. Are there any other resources available for them?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that there is the business resource guide out there with links to the cityofdublin.gov/business impacts. Also, the Alameda County Small Business Development Center at www.acsbdc.org has resources for small businesses. Also, the Tri-Valley Career Center offering assistance to people who've lost their job, including information on unemployment benefits and how to find a job if you're looking for a new one. There are still people hiring for sure. Website is edd.ca.gov. There's an Oakland office, and the phone number there is 510-273-9154. The governor recently also announced a website to connect people who are looking for jobs with people who are looking to find people. Website is called onwardca.gov. And so we should make sure that people who are out of work are matched up with people who absolutely need workers as we go through this time of change and shift.
All right. Well, thank you very much, David. Let's turn to the shelter-in-place order that we've been all living under for several weeks now, and probably for at least another two, maybe longer. How is the city enforcing the shelter-in-place order?
Fortunately, Splend, we have seen great compliance across the city. Almost everybody doing their part and following the rules. And but we are also making sure that we have police services out and about, making sure that people are not congregating, that they are uh, doing safe social distancing, and so they're out and about. We also have seen, you know. When people are cooped up at home, sometimes we see a little uptick in domestic violence disputes, or not violence, but just domestic disputes. So that happens 365 days a year, a little bit of an uptick in that, but all very manageable and understandable. But police are enforcing, and if they do see some strange things going on, they will investigate. We want to make sure that we keep our residents safe from anybody maybe coming in from outside the community to do a robbery or something like that. Again, these things happen in every community 365 days a year. We're doing what we can to make sure that we keep our people safe as they stay at home. We have had anecdotal complaints of teenagers on bicycles not necessarily obeying safe rules of the road. We have had people talking about, if you come across somebody on the sidewalk, how to step aside, and etiquette during that social distancing time for etiquette, if you will. All things that we're getting through just very easily, and people are being, for the most part, very respectful. Remember, clean up after your dog or pet when you take a walk. Things like that, Splend. But I'm very proud of the people of Dublin that are doing their part to keep us all safe.
And I imagine you've seen your fair share of drive-by happy birthdays and happy anniversaries and all other things that I know my wife participated in one the other day.
Yeah, all good stuff.
Yeah, and presumably they have good singing voices, but not as good as yours, but they have good singing voices.
I'll try to keep it going there, Splend.
All right. So hey, let's turn to a very important part of our community, and that's the seniors. How have they been helped during the pandemic? What resources are out there for them?
Yeah, so I'll tell you that many of the stores have what they call golden hours. So you think of golden years in retirement or older age. They call it golden hours, and that's people that shop early in the morning. We allow seniors to do that. Sometimes it's 8 to 9 in the morning, things like that. People should be respectful of the seniors that need to get into the store and buy things and get home. In the very beginning stages, people weren't quite sure how that worked, but now I think people understand that those early morning hours are for seniors. We also have park and community services staff who have helped distributed lunches, and so some of the folks that we have on staff are actually volunteering time at Open Heart Kitchen and the Spectrum Meals on Wheels program to help homebound seniors get a delivered meal to their home. I've helped that myself, and it was a wonderful experience. We've also added some people. I know Sean Costello, a member of our community, wheelchair bound, doesn't get out of his apartment very often, and now Spectrum Meals on Wheels is delivering to him. And a program I hope to ask my council to support is wheelchair bound people who are not quite seniors, but also need help, and adding them to the Spectrum Meals on Wheels program. But here again, we have had the community step up to the plate, and I want to recognize members of our community who have reached out to help seniors by making homemade masks and by delivering food and other things, checking in on seniors. If you haven't heard from them in a while, go and check in on them. give them a phone call. I've heard of seniors that have learned to Zoom and use technology for the first time, which is great. I think one of the best things that we can do is take stock of our own neighborhood. And if you have a senior citizen on your street, just check in on them once in a while and maybe give them a phone call, that kind of a thing. But certainly we need to take care of our seniors. I want to make sure that everybody knows that if you do need a meal, to call Meals on Wheels. And also there is a program where seniors can just drive up and get a meal handed to them right in their car. We ask people, though, to go to myactivecenter.com or to call 925-500-8241 to make a lunch reservation.
Hey, Dave, can I ask you also to talk a little bit about seniors' other typical needs, like medication or if they have to visit a doctor? Are there resources for them that where someone can pick up a medication at a pharmacy?
Yeah, I think rules have been relaxed where pharmacies are able to, with permission, allow a family member to pick up, or somebody even outside the family to pick up with permission, that we can have seniors not leave their home whenever possible.
Okay, great. Yeah, that's very important. Very important part of the community that we need to protect. So Dave, let's talk a little bit about the kind of resources that are, you mentioned at the beginning, at the top of the show, just to keep people from going stir crazy. I think that may be the best way to describe it. You mentioned the virtual tours for the rec center. What else is out there for the folks?
That's a good point. I'd like to mention and give a shout out to a member of our community, Francisco Gomez, known as the Fit Potato. And he has a workout studio on Village Parkway. He's now doing lessons by GoToMeeting virtually, but he did his very first community workout virtually, and he's making his professional services available for free. This was Monday at 11 o'clock, and I think he's agreed to continue to do them. So check out the Fit Potato on GoToMeeting for a free community workout, ways to stretch your muscles as we're all sitting down at home more, ways to keep active, keep the muscles limber, and also things that you can do in your own home. But I also just want to make sure that people realize what they can still do. They can still go to the park and they can still go for a jog, and they just can't do it in a group. And I also want to just say that I know people, this is really tough. The last few weeks have been tough, but we can't give up now. Keep going, keep the process of stay at home, shelter in place, only go out for essentials. When you do, wear a mask. Always wash your hands frequently with warm, hot water and antibacterial soap. We call it stay home and save lives. And with that said, we're going to flatten this curve together. We are going to beat the coronavirus. So stay Dublin strong, people.
Thank you very much, Dave, and thank you for all your words of encouragement and wisdom. And you've been listening to the Mayor's Report for the City of Dublin on TV 30. Thanks for watching.